Why is the world so unfair? Why am I so unlucky? Why do I always fail? Why do I have to suffer? Challenges, whether it's illness, loss, or other serious trials, are undeniably a part of everyone's life. In our society, suffering is often seen as purely negative, an event or period we should overcome as quickly as possible, or even avoid altogether. We are surrounded by a culture that aims to minimize discomfort at all costs, from endless entertainment to instant gratification of our desires. In this context, suffering appears as a destroyer, hindering our happiness and well-being. But our life begins with suffering, as even during birth, we go through a challenging trial before coming into this world. Suffering is the first thing a person gets acquainted with. Although suffering is perceived by many as a heavy burden, bringing only pain and despair, it conceals a unique opportunity for profound self-discovery and personal growth. Have you ever wondered why some people find meaning and strength even in the most difficult circumstances of life?
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith.
At times, each of us faces moments of doubt when we come face to face with suffering. Yet, it's precisely in these moments that some discover something special, an opportunity to grow, transform, and gain a depth previously unknown. Viewing suffering as a path to self-awareness allows us to transform our inner dialogue about life and its meaning. Suffering acts not as an obstacle but as a catalyst for change, motivating us to adopt an active stance in life, even under constrained circumstances. This awakens the realization that in every situation there's a choice: how to perceive what's happening, how to relate to our own experience, and what lessons to draw from it. Thus, suffering can become not a barrier, but a bridge to a deep understanding of ourselves and our life's purpose. The opportunity to meet ourselves in moments of suffering opens the way to finding meaning and fulfillment in life. Life's challenges and suffering, despite their pain, also carry the potential for finding meaning. They prompt us to reflect on life's important questions, reassess our priorities, and perhaps discover new directions for personal growth and development. The ability to accept and transform suffering into a source of meaning and lessons for further development is what makes life profoundly deep and rich. This understanding helps us realize that the meaning of life is not given in advance. It unfolds through active engagement with the world, with others, and with ourselves. Life appears not merely as a sequence of random events, but as a series of questions each of us must answer. This process of interacting with life's circumstances requires us not just to exist passively, but to participate actively in shaping our destiny. In this context, life becomes a call to personal responsibility for the choices and decisions we make daily. Understanding life as an ongoing dialogue with oneself and the surrounding world underscores that our existence's significance is determined not by external achievements or circumstances, but by the ability to meet life's unique challenges and tasks. It is in the process of tackling these tasks, facing difficulties, and seeking ways to overcome obstacles that we find profound meaning and purpose. The approach to life as a continuous quest for personal growth, understanding our place in the world, and contemplating our contribution to the common good makes our experience genuinely valuable. This approach suggests that each of us has a unique potential that can and should be realized, regardless of external conditions. Thus, an active attitude towards life, recognizing our responsibility for personal choices and decisions, are key components in the search for and attainment of meaning. Life becomes whole when we actively participate in its creation, setting goals for ourselves, embracing challenges, and finding opportunities for development and self-expression. Finding meaning in difficulties becomes one of the most potent aspects of human experience. Instead of viewing them solely as sources of suffering, we can see them as opportunities for profound personal growth and spiritual enrichment. This approach to life's challenges implies reinterpreting trials not as barriers to happiness, but as valuable lessons that contribute to developing inner strength, wisdom, and empathy. The meaning found in overcoming difficulties adds new dimensions to our life experience, allowing us to gain a deep understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The approach to difficulties as sources of meaning and opportunities for growth requires from us the readiness to accept and work through our life experience, drawing lessons and inspiration from it. This may involve reevaluating our values, developing compassion for ourselves and others, and seeking support and empathy in the community. Through this process, even the most challenging trials can become catalysts for finding new meaning in life, opening the path to deeper self-realization and awareness. Thus, difficulties become not a wall separating us from desired happiness, but a bridge leading to new horizons of personal development and spiritual enrichment. The concept of inner choice is key to understanding how people can maintain their human dignity and life's meaning, even when external circumstances seem highly unfavorable. This idea emphasizes that true freedom is not the absence of restrictions, but the ability to choose our attitude towards what happens around us. Even in situations where a person's actions are limited by external conditions, their inner world remains inviolable. In this space, everyone has absolute freedom of choice: how to react to events, what meanings to assign to trials, and what lessons to draw from life's circumstances. This means that even in the most difficult situations, when it seems there's no choice, a person can still choose their attitude towards what's happening and thereby shape their life path. The strength of inner choice is manifested in the ability to maintain hope, faith, and optimism, even when circumstances seem hopeless. This is not a denial of reality, but an acknowledgement that a person's inner stance determines their experiences and ultimately their life's quality. Thus, the idea of inner choice highlights not just a person's ability to adapt to circumstances, but their unique ability to transform their experience, finding meaning and value even in the most challenging conditions. This is an affirmation of personal power and autonomy, demonstrating that even in restricted external conditions, the human spirit can create meaning and maintain its integrity. Suffering might seem like an insurmountable burden, but think about it. Perhaps it's precisely what forces us to stop and think about what truly matters. Perhaps it teaches us to be stronger, smarter, more compassionate. Perhaps it reveals who we really are and who we can become if we don't shy away from challenges, but face them head-on with our heads held high. Every time we face painful situations, we're presented with a choice: to give up and let these moments define us, or to use them as opportunities for growth. Suffering can be a powerful impetus for change, prompting us to reflect on who we are, where we're heading, and what we truly value in life. The opportunity to turn suffering into a path for self-improvement requires courage to confront our fears and failures head-on, accept them, and learn from them. This approach not only allows us to survive difficult times, but to emerge from them renewed, with new strength and confidence. Beginning to appreciate the difficult moments in life is a process that requires time and patience. Letting go of the past and focusing on what you can control will enable you to view each challenge not as an insurmountable obstacle but as a chance for growth and self-improvement.